Hey guys, it's Tana. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make two cards, one interactive with Neat and Tangled's G.O.A.T stamp set and Barnyard Buddies stamp set. Here they are right here. That goat one's so cute. I love the sentiments that come in that. You old goat, goat, greatest of all time, you goat this. So these, I didn't actually use any of these images except maybe that sun right there. I ended up stamping out three 4x5 pieces of cardstock and the images, and I had colored two of them while watching a show. So I just wanted to show you how I color a few of these tiny images, and then we're going to move on. I think I also fussy cut one out for you because I did fussy cut these this time. I did not use the Brother Scan and Cut. I also colored a purple barn for Riley. She, of course, gets all the extra images to add to her card making collection. Some of those images there are so tiny, like the barn door, that I was going to leave it white, the framing, but I had to go over it with a white gel pen because the red leaked. This little guy here has red hair because of Riley, and I fussy cut him out. Even that space in between there, I cut two sides of that little tiny space between him and the pitchfork with an X-Acto blade, and then I went in there with my scissors and cut the rest of it out. And I don't think I show, if I show any of it, I don't show all of it. There was a lot to cut out. Apparently I'm a slow card maker, because for these two cards I had probably 3 hours of footage. And I take my time too, though. I'm making cards, but I'm also sitting here watching my shows while I do it, or the kids are distracting me. There's always something. I did color all these images with my Copics, and maybe a few Spectrum Noirs for colors that I was missing in my Copics. I'm up to 86 colors in the Copics. That's quite a bit of money. Well, at least it is when you're paying $8 a piece at Hobby Lobby. Alright, so I showed you guys that I had a lot of those images cut out, and now we're going to start making our cards. The first card's going to be a scene. It's only going to have a little bit of dimension. I popped one of the forefront of the grass, popped that up on foam tape, as you'll see, and so of course some of the images had to be popped up at least partially. But for the most part it's one layer. So I'm going to use my Distress Oxides in Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed, and Fossilized Amber, and I'm going to use a stencil that I made myself to look like sun rays. As you can see, there's like marker lines on it because I use Sharpies to trace out what I want, and then I use my X-Acto blade to cut it out. So I started with the Squeezed Lemonade and just went over the entire panel. And that probably took me about 5 minutes, but I did cut a lot of it out. I used a bigger makeup brush, or a blending brush if you want to call it that. Speaking of which, you guys let me know if you'd be interested in me purchasing some of the picket fence brushes to compare to the Amazon brushes. Now I know that Corin Wiskman did a video comparing them, a review, but I've started to notice that because I was washing my brushes off in the beginning, because I didn't have a lot to switch between colors, it seems like my brushes don't blend as well. So I want to see if there's a difference with the picket fence brushes. I'm not going to buy them yet, but I want to know how many people would be interested in the video reviewing and comparing the two, cleaning wise, after using them for a while. So I started out with the darkest color over the Squeezed Lemonade, which was the Fossilized Amber at the top. And I just went across the whole stencil, blending in that Fossilized Amber. Then I went in with a smaller brush and blended in the Mustard Seed into the Fossilized Amber. Just kind of smoothed it all out so it went from dark to light. Because in my thinking, I was thinking the more concentration would be at the top, and then as the sun spread out across the grass it would be lighter. Whereas if you were doing maybe a sunrise, you would have the most concentration down towards your horizon. Then I took the squeezed lemonade after I took the stencil off, and I went over the whole entire panel with it, trying not to blend the rays in too much, but we had to cover those white spaces. If I would have thought about it, I probably should have covered the whole panel with squeezed lemonade, then put the stencil on. Probably would have saved some time. I started using a microfiber cloth to clean these off because I saw a change in my blending brushes, and Mary Polanco gave me this idea because a regular rag just doesn't do it. You should have seen how much ink was left in the little brush after I was done. I cut that part out. So I did spray it with a little bit of water. I don't know what it is about Distress Oxide and me, but I cannot blend Distress Oxide without adding something wet to it afterwards. I don't know what happened to my footage of ink blending the grass, but it disappeared, which is a shame because you'll see why I use a cut up piece of Bristol, because I knew I would be layering these, so you'll see that some of them are missing pieces. I used Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn to blend those pieces, and then I did, of course, add some water to them and blotted it off with a paper towel. Now I did a lot of measuring for this, so I could see where the top hill was going to be and where the second hill with the fence would be, so that I could make sure that hole on the first hill there was covered, and just made very light pencil lines. I put the first two layers on with score tape, 1/4 inch score tape. That fence and the hills were all Lawn Fawn dyes. The Lawn Fawn hills, it was the stitched hillsides. I just turned it upside down so I didn't get the stitched part. And then the fence, of course, comes in a separate package. So I used that as well. I was like thinking to myself, what farm would be complete without a fence? A white picket fence, right? So I line that up, make sure the hole's covered. I also trim some of this hill underneath the fence off once I see what's going to be covered by the hill and grass underneath. Oh, I feel like crap, you guys. I don't know what's wrong with me. Excuse me, I woke up with a horrible headache. I'm on the Chantix to quit smoking, so that's not helping my stomach. And I feel like I have a head cold, and somebody at Rite Aid yesterday suggested it might be my allergies starting to kick in already, but I'm already taking my allergy medicine. You would think that it'd be working by now. The weather here is so up and down. I mean, it's June 1st, and it's still only 64 degrees outside. I really want to move. I hate it here. I can't stress how much I hate it. Enough how much I hate it here. Last year, I would wake up every day during the winter, even during the spring, and turn on the camera to watch Myrtle Beach. There's tons of live webcams, and that's where some of my family lives, and we go every year, and I just miss Myrtle Beach so much. Wish I was standing on the beach right now. Oh, for this layer I actually used Nuvo Deluxe glue because of the fence. I also did not put glue up towards the top because I knew on each of these, including the first layer that was down, that I might want to tuck some stuff underneath. So I did leave a thin line with no adhesive on each of these pieces at the top. Now this one I had to measure. I made sure before I trimmed off that piece with the picket fence that this hill and grass were going to cover it. But then that meant this one had to go on perfect, or else one little space would show. And I'm really bad at trimming the ends off the sides of the cardstock. I don't know was it this card? I think it was this card. I had a hard time making it even. I think I cut it out. So I'm using a piece of white cardstock. I have now since switched, which my review's not out yet for the paper, but I'm using a new base or paper for my card bases so I can save my Nina 110 pound for coloring. And it's a sturdy paper, and we'll talk about that in my paper review. I did mat it on a piece of black cardstock though, because it looked like it was just missing something. So, of course, you got to use the barn, use a tractor. I didn't use every animal I had colored. It would have just been too busy, I feel. Like it would have been too busy with all the hills, the fence, the sun rays. So I was trying to keep it fairly simple. So unfortunately for this one, not every animal was pictured. I did put a few chicks in there though, because they're tiny and they fill up empty space. So we got a little pig in there. We've got a horse. Sorry if you can hear anything in the background. Riley decided she was going to come out here against the rules and use the fridge to fill her water bottle with ice and water. You want to come say hi real quick? There's the horse. The horse was partially popped up on foam tape at the top. And I'm pretty sure that's the little goat. I wanted so badly to put the cow in there, but he was too big. And since this has some type of perspective to it, with the barn and the tractor being farther away, if I would have put the cow back there, he would have looked all out of whack. Are you going to say hi or no? You got to speak close to the microphone.
Why?
Say hi.
Hi.
There you go. Alright, so then Mr. Farmer's going to go on there. I used the one with the blonde hair, not the redhead like Riley. He's used in the next card. And he's also partially popped up on foam tape. And now here I was trying to choose my sentiments, and I think I cut it out. I tried a few on there and decided to go with the small one that said happy birthday. So I could use a small skinny strip die from Neat and Tangled. I love those things. They make it so easy to get a nice straight sentiment banner. Yeah, it's happy birthday. And I just stamped that out in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And he's popped up on foam tape, that banner. And then inside I just stamped "You Old Goat." And I added 3 dots after the happy birthday on the front so that it looked like a continued sentence on the inside, which I'm sure you guys already know. And once we get that on there, that's it for that first card. I know there was other things I wanted to talk about today during this video, and I can't remember what. Oh, I did receive my very first Ink Road stamp package in the mail the other day, so you'll be seeing that. It's such a small haul video, it'll just be added on to the next video I do, and I'll be doing a video with her products soon. I love her. I talked to her on Instagram. She's so nice. Okay, so this next one here, I wanted to use a wobbler. I haven't used one in so long, and those cards are so cool. And Riley and Jax love it when I make a wobbling card. So I just used the farmer as my base and then started adding animals around him so it would still be a sturdy area to wobble, but so that it wouldn't be too heavy also. So I cut out a lot of the footage showing, I even drew lines to make sure that I was putting glue only where it was supposed to go. I didn't want anything to accidentally stick or become a problem later on when somebody was trying to wobble the card. And if this got mailed, it would be smushed down for a while. So we've got a horse, a cow, a goat. I think I add some chickies on there, and I think I end up adding the pig over on the right side. We'll find out in a second. Can't remember if I did or if I decided against it. I could just look at the card, seeing as how it's sitting right here. Oh, I did add it, but apparently I didn't add it yet. So this is another stencil I made myself. I think I've shown this before. I made one with an oval and one with a circle. And if you guys want to know what I use to make my own stencils, it's just plastic for making quilt templates. And I bought a big package of it, and it comes in these huge sheets, like half a size of a large piece of poster board. And then I cut it down to 6 by 6 inch pieces. And I just used my oval dies to make this one. So I'm using regular distress ink and my little sponge daubers. I'm using weathered wood here, and I think I go over the very edge of that all the way around with some hickory smoke and then go back to the weathered wood to blend it in. I love my oxides, but sometimes I like using my distress inks. I miss how easily you get a rich color. You know, they always seem to blend well together as long as you have the right paper. For some reason, I did not use the blending brushes for this. Don't know if they work with regular distress inks. I wouldn't see why not. Alright, so now I switched out the center there and put on the border so that I could protect the ink blended border. I just cut a little piece of purple tape to make the separation between my land and sky. And I just did two different colors, the Twisted Citron and the Mowed Lawn, and I kind of cut out this piece of cardstock here to just make a shadow of hills because I knew that the scene wasn't the focal point. So most of this grass, this land here, is going to be covered up by the wobbler itself because it's so large. So I just ink blended like an outline of hills and then kind of smoothed it all together with what was left on the sponge dauber so you can barely see it. Then I took the bottom half of the piece of purple tape that I cut and just masked that edge off so I could do the sky. Carry him handle down. Riley's walking out of here with a pair of scissors, but she's got them pointing up towards her face. So I used for the sky tumbled glass, and after I covered the entire sky with a light coating of tumbled glass, I got out my handmade cloud stencil, which was made with the Lawn Fawn Stitch Clouds edge dies, and I just cut on each side with the three dies come in that pack, so 3 different sizes. I pulled out the Salty Ocean Distress ink and just ink blended an outline of the edge of the clouds all the way down to the bottom, kind of tilting it this way and that. And then I put a light layer of the Salty Ocean across the entire thing at the end to kind of blend in those harsh lines. I like this look. It's probably my most used go-to for making a cloud background. I'm just going to peel all that tape off. And then I end up with a little line here because I didn't do it just quite good enough. So there's one around the oval and there's an edge, a tiny edge right across the middle of my horizon. So I just took my Copics and very, very carefully, because I didn't know if my distress ink would ruin it, went around the edge with a light gray marker. I think it was C0. And then I used a light green marker to go across the horizon. And this is where I added the pig. Oh, no, the sun. So there's where I used the sun. And I did add the barn and a yellow tractor this time. I don't know if there are any yellow tractors, but I wanted a yellow tractor. And I had already put my wobbler on, so there it is. Now you see the addition of the pig. And there's a chick on either side. And I think I did not put the wobbler down yet because I wanted to make sure there wasn't any issues with putting my sentiment down. So I stamped out "Heard It's Your Birthday" because it's already got a ready-made banner. Stamped it out in black VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then covered it with clear glitter embossing powder and heat set it. Cut it out, fussy cut it out, and then I outlined the edges with I bought these probably 4 different sets of Memento double-ended markers when they were on clearance at Joann's, and that's what I use to edge my images when I fussy cut. I have black, gray, a variation of pinks, a variation of greens, and a variation of blues. So they come in handy for fussy cutting, and so that I don't ruin the tips of my regular markers. I'll have to show you, if you do it enough, if you outline your edges enough when you fussy cut, the damage you can do to a marker tip. I'll show you guys in the next video. Or maybe I'll take a picture of it and add it here to the end of this video before I publish it. I think I'll do that with a little tag so you guys can see it. Let me pull the marker out so I don't forget. So I have to look at it again to see if I popped it up. Let me just look at the card. I popped the sentiment banner up on foam tape, and before I adhere the wobbler, I'm putting 1-inch double-sided tape on the back of my card panel before I adhere it to the card. And I used the Fog color card base from Simon Says Stamp, and I did not mat this one this time. And I don't think this one needed a mat. It had a lot going on, and I wanted to keep it simple. I feel like I got something stuck in my throat. There's the sentiment. Alright, now we're going to give this a good wobble. And there we go. Our critters are having some fun. So that's all I have for you today. I'll put a picture at the end showing the tips of those memento markers. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're not subscribed yet and you like what you saw, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button to be apprised of giveaways. There's a monthly giveaway coming up for June. And actually, I'm giving away 2 prizes this month. So thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, so this is a short video clip that I'm just adding on now before I publish to show you guys the memento markers and the tips. So this first light blue marker here, now Riley's saying hi. She was with me, but I couldn't figure out how to add the original sound in for just this section, so I'm just going to do a voiceover real quick. This light blue one here, I have not used this for outlining or covering the fussy cut edges yet. So I'm trying to show you here what the untouched tip looks like. Now these memento markers came in a pack of 3 or 4, I think 4, and they're double-ended, so there's a really fine tip on the other side. Then I'm going to show you my black one, which surprisingly at the beginning when I first started doing this, I was using the gray more than I was using the black. So that black there is almost, it's just starting to fray. I'll compare it with the blue one. Riley's going to open it for me. So I couldn't do this over the glass mat. It kind of, both marker tips blended into the mat and you couldn't see them. So then I zoomed the camera in here because even having this stamp set underneath was not showing it enough. So as you can see, that edge is starting to fray all the way around from rubbing on the paper over and over and over again. And that black one's about 1.5 years old. And then we have the gray one. Wait till you see what I've done to this guy. Look at that. He is trash. He still works. There's tons of marker color left in there. And every once in a while I trim that extra felt or whatever it is off. But I just have to be careful, and I use the side that doesn't have a lot sticking off of it. But it works really well for outlining. So that's my progression of marker clips, and that's all I have for you today. So we will see you guys in the next video, and once again, enjoy your weekend, and I hope you have warm weather because we really don't have weather that's that great. Do we? Do we, Riley? Yeah, she's standing right next to me now. Alright, bye.